Hey guys and gals, today I will be showing you how to make these salt and pepper chicken strips. Before we get started, I have a couple of things I need to do to prep. I need to wash the chicken, which means rinse it off really well, squeeze all the water out, and then pat the chicken dry. When I'm done with that, I need to create a marinade. I also need to get my seasonings together, so let me show you how I do that. Try to get as much of that water out as you possibly can. And today I have chicken thighs that I'm going to be cutting into strips, and I also have some chicken breasts. Since I'm making strips today, I'm just going to cut the fat off and then strip my chicken. Now score your chicken or poke holes in it because you really want to get that marinade in the chicken. You want it to absorb into it, and it'll help it to cook faster too when you do that. This one's a thick one, so I'm going to make it thinner. Poke the holes. And same thing with the thighs. Get the fat off and then cut them into strips. I'm not going to fuss with them too much. Just get it done. In my bowl with my cut up chicken, I'm going to be making 2 batches of marinade today that I'm just going to put in my bowl. So what I'll need for that is going to be 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of pepper, 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. Oopsie. 2 tablespoons of cooking wine, and I'll leave the list of ingredients in the description box below, and 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce. Next, just get everything mixed in very, very well. Now that everything's coated, I'm going to wrap my chicken and set it in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. After 30 minutes to an hour, you'll be able to see that the chicken has absorbed the marinade, and that's what we want. While my chicken is marinating, I'm doing a little prep work. Here I have 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of cornstarch, or just equal parts. It doesn't have to be 1 cup and 1 cup. It could just be whatever you want, as long as those parts are equal. Then I'm going to have to mix this up very, very well so that it coats the chicken evenly with both parts. Here I have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half of a teaspoon of salt, and half of a teaspoon of pepper. And this I'll be using to sprinkle onto my chicken when it's still hot, still a little oily, so that it can stick. And if you're feeling a little spicy, you can add some red pepper flakes. Get yourself a drying rack ready. I have my drying rack with some foil underneath so that I don't have to wash this tray after. And this is going to be so that when you're done frying your chicken, you're going to immediately put it on here. Now, one tip that you may or may not know, I'm not sure, but make sure you layer your chicken, your hot chicken, onto the drying rack without letting them touch. The spots that touch will become soggy, and you don't want that. As soon as that oil starts to dry, then that'll get crispy. But if you don't let it dry properly, it will just get soggy. Here I have some canola oil starting to heat up. You can use canola oil, you can use vegetable oil, or you can use peanut oil, whichever oil you prefer, as long as it has a high smoke temp. If it doesn't, then you run the risk of your oil burning too fast, and you don't want that. Ugh. My chicken has been marinating for about an hour now. The chill will come off as I bread the chicken. So I'm going to have a dry hand and a wet hand, dry hand. Just choose whichever one you want. Grab some chicken, toss it into your flour cornstarch mix. Get it coated very, very well. And then with your dry hand, squeeze that flour cornstarch mix into your chicken. If you need to dump it in the mix again, do that. Shake, shake, shake. Now would be the perfect time for you to start your oil. It's not too early, it's not too late. Gives your chicken a chance to sweat before dumping it in the oil. Oh man, I could just smell the oyster sauce and the soy sauce. I love it. So I'm just pushing the cornstarch flour mix into the chicken. I'm going to be doing this in batches. Just a little FYI, if your oil is not hot enough, then your chicken will end up absorbing too much of the oil instead of really frying and crisping up. So be aware of that. I try to have mine as close to 400 as possible without actually getting to 400, because once you put the chicken in, that oil temp is going to come down, and then that's like your enemy basically. So you want to try to get it as high as you can without going over, and you don't want to overcrowd your pot either. Yummy. My chicken is done. I'm going to pull the chicken out of the hot oil and straight into this bowl. The reason I want to do that is because the hot grease, hot oil is still on it, which means when I sprinkle it with some seasoning, the seasoning will stick to it. And I want that seasoning on there. This is, oh man, this sets it off. The chicken's good. The fried chicken, the fried wings, however you decide to do it, is good on its own. But man, when you add that extra bit of seasoning, it really sets it off. Now that I've tossed my seasoning onto the chicken, I can set this aside to cool down. Remember, do not let your chicken touch. If you do, then the pieces that are touching are going to be soggy, and we don't want that. We want that chicken to be crispy and delicious. That's how my son says delicious. He says delicious. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Toodles!